So before we get into introducing the judges, we just want to thank all of our sponsors for tonight for having the food together and everything, for making this possible. Launch Media, who is our film sponsor, Celtic Media Center, and then Pro Signs and Graphics. So a big round of applause for those sponsors. Okay. So first on our judges panel, we have Katie Ramirez. Katie, wave to the crowd.
Hi.
She is the graphic designer with Mesh Design. Next we have Kenny Nguyen, who will be judging Delivery, who is the CEO of Big Fish Presentations. Brandi Simmons, who is the Director of Online Operations for Baton Rouge Business Report, 225 Magazine, and InRegister Magazine, and she will be grading Impact. And lastly, Chris Landry from Lamar Graphics, who is the Marketing Technology Brand Manager, will be grading the overall brand.
Not Lamar Graphics, but Lamar.
Lamar. Very different.
Very different department.
All right. So going right into it, our first presenter is Jenny Dillon, over here to the right. Jenny, you'll have to at the 1 minute mark, I'll throw up the 1 minute song.
Cool. Okay. Or do you think I might be able to just do it? I might. Okay. Hi everybody, my name is Jenny Dillon, and I kind of wanted to start off today with a little bit of a story that I usually tell a lot of people that I feel like represents me and kind of my personality going through high school and what I've carried on through college. When I was in high school, I really wanted to try out for my dance team, and my freshman year I tried out and I didn't make it. There was a lot of people in my friends group that tried out too, and they didn't make it as well. In the second year, they decided they didn't want to try out again. So I worked super hard. I took a bunch of dance classes, and the second year I was planning to try out, I actually got tendonitis in my ankle, and I didn't get to try out for my second year. A lot of people that I was originally trying out with, they decided not to try out at all, but I was the only one that wanted to continue trying out. So the third year, my sophomore year, I was determined to try out again. And I took so many dance classes. I even joined my dance company's team. And I feel like that was probably the year that I worked the hardest. And I was just so excited and I really wanted to make it. And then finally, my junior year, which is the third time that I tried out, I made it. And it was awesome. It was the best moment ever. I felt so awesome. But the reason why I'm telling this is because it explains my personality so much. I'm very persistent, and I'm very, when I have a goal, I will not stop until I get that goal. And I work my butt off, and so that's why, I'm sharing this with you today. But this can apply to a lot of things in my life. So I'll start off with the basics. So I am a junior digital advertising major, and I'm minoring in visual communications and business. And I'm actually from Dallas, but I don't consider myself a true Texan because I've lived in North Carolina and Georgia, but I am a Cowboys fan, I'm sorry. Just some little things that I'm into. I love running. I run every single day. My goal is to be able to compete with my cousin in the Boston Marathon. So that's a goal. I'm not there yet. And then I'm also obsessed with Game of Thrones. I watch every season and I own all the books. So, but just what I used to do, I wasn't an advertising major starting off. I used to be in journalism, broadcast journalism, and I am currently the news director for Tiger TV. And so that's kind of what I used to do, but I feel like being in journalism really has helped me a lot in advertising, which is what I'm moving on to what I'm doing right now. I wanted to do advertising this summer. I entered somewhere that, we're done, okay. Well, thank you.
Oh, no. Okay, well, we had a 3-minute mark. 3 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. It was going good, girl.
Let's go to 5 minutes.
Let's go to 5.
5 minutes?
5 minutes.
Alrighty. What I think that journalism helps me bring to the table with advertising, first of all, is writing. I can write a pretty good news story within 30 seconds. I do breaking news stories, and as news director, I'm 24/7 news. So and that really has helped me with writing for advertising and understanding how to communicate to a mass audience and making sure that everyone understands what's going on and what you're trying to say. But what I want to do with advertising is take over the world, and I want to be a digital strategist, so I want to do website design, and I want to basically take a company's personality and apply it to the internet and make it awesome, which is what in journalism I kind of used to do. I used to understand what a story was about, and I would apply it to video. So, let's see. And so, why I wanted to get into it is I love makeovers. I love taking a company and making it the best it possibly can be. And I have a vision, like I can instantly think up things really fast for a company. And then also, one of my favorite, actually I took this from Chipotle, which is one of my favorite brands ever, is Cultivate a Better World. And that's kind of what I want to do for each company that I work on, is to help them be the best company that they can possibly be. So, that's it.
All right, Gee, thank you so much. We appreciate work with us on the time a little bit.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. All right, we'll give the judges just a couple minutes to kind of write down some thoughts, circle it, and then we'll go through each of them and just give some feedback for you. All right, guys, we'll go ahead and start with the judges' feedback. So, Katie, we'll go ahead and start with you on visuals.
Well, I really liked your, I liked the presentation of all the frames on the wall and everything, and I think that's a really nice, creative way to sort of present yourself, you know, and all these different facets of, you know, what you want to do and why. So I really like that approach. I think it's unique. And of course, like I'm always drawn to textures and things like that. So I think it's got a very interesting, kind of warm, you know, kind of personal vibe to it. I was just going to say some of the type was a little small, a little bit hard to read, but you know, fortunately you were like, you know, you were saying everything out loud so that, you know, it was easy. And of course up here for me it was a little bit easier to read than maybe some of the people back there. But so I would just kind of say like maybe grow some of that type a little bit and just kind of beef it up a little more for visual presentations.
Thank you, Katie. All right, Kenny.
3 things. Number 1, easy on the ums. You said that a little bit. You kind of stumbled a little bit. I feel like I'm Simon Cowell right now, but but easy on the ums. Next thing is you actually had a really good bonding rapport with the audience, and like telling that story at the beginning, that was a great way to make us really understand you. And telling like a personal story made us feel like we were there once. We had to push hard for something. That was a very good way to get us all emotionally connected. The third thing is definitely rehearse just a teensy little bit more. And there's a bonus 4th thing is you covered really well. Even though it was time, you jumped right back into it really well and it flowed really well right after.
I agree with a lot of what Kenny said. I appreciate that you weren't overly rehearsed, that you were just kind of relaxed and calm. But I would say that a little bit of rehearsal or a little bit of kind of practice at home first would be helpful. I think that the story at the beginning was great. I would shorten it a little so you could get to the meat of what you're trying to tell. And that's pretty much it. Good job, Kevin.
From an overall perspective, I agree with what everyone said, really. I really liked the personality in the beginning. I liked how you started with the story. I thought that, like, from an overall brand perspective, like the colors that you chose and kind of the warm vibe and the warm feeling spoke to the story that you started off with in the beginning, and it kind of showed us a little bit of who you were. I like that. I think that that it could have been a little bit more distinct. You could have picked like one thing maybe and kind of had that be the driving factor. Because I tried to figure out what was going to be that one thing that I was going to write down. And like we got to on the frames a little bit, I liked how we saw a little bit of piece, with the frames and with the story that you told. We got a little bit of everything, but I would have liked to drill down on like just one thing that I could have really driven home with. But overall, it was really good.
All right. Thank you all so much for your feedback. All right, so moving right along, next we have Mr. Jacques-Andre Porter. You have the floor.
Hi, so I'm Jacques-Andre Porter. I'm a web developer. So when it came to creating my own brand, the first thing I did was create a logo. I'm not a graphic designer, so it was important that I keep things simple to make it look good. This is standard. This is like a standard coding symbol. There's no universal symbol for coding, so this is the closest thing we've got. So the first thing I designed after that was my website. Again, very simple, very easy to make look good. I don't have any work yet, so in place there's just doesn't-exist.com and some lorem ipsum at the bottom. Next, I designed my resume. Again, kept the color theme and logo. But going along with the theme of simple, I stuck to two classic fonts, which were Helvetica and Futura, and just used their regular versions and alternate versions of the two fonts. Lastly, business card, which again, the audience can't see, but on the reverse side of this is the symbol, my logo again, and then on the reverse is all the information that you need, simple and clean. And that's it.
Jacques, thank you so much. We'll give the judges just a few minutes to gather their thoughts, write down some scores. All right, we'll go ahead and start with Katie again.
Okay, well, I like your bold use of type, bold use of color. That's always very appealing and, very graphic, which is good. I was just going to say that, well, first of all, on the website, and really kind of for anything, it's nice to see things like in application. It always kind of helps people kind of just identify with something. Or so like on the website, if you could show it, either on a screen or in a browser, and fill in content. Imagery, any kind of imagery that you have in there, like the block. That was just a block. If fill it in, with something, with some content. And overall, like I would say, wherever there's content lacking, the more that you can fill in to kind of say something about yourself, like on a resume, if you don't have a lot of experience, like professional experience to fill in, then you could put a personal statement or something about yourself, or about what your goals are, for web development and everything. Same with your website. The more details you can fill in there, I'd like to give a potential employer, whoever, a better idea of what you're going for and who you are. I think that'll just make it stronger and richer in general. A nice job.
All right. Jacques, I'm going to be completely honest with you, man. I don't know anything about you really besides what your brand is, and I would like to hear a little bit more about your story of what inspires you to be a designer, what inspires you to create. And that's something that compels me as a potential employer, is to think, what motivates this guy into succeeding? And I can tell you really are passionate about what you do, but you need to show that excitement. You need to show that passion. And finally, look at the audience as well. And I know it's very nerve-wracking to give presentations, but be open to the audience, look at them because they're all here to support you. So that's my feedback.
I appreciate the clever play on coding and all of that. I agree with Katie that you need to be able to show what you can do. I think it's clever and it's smart, but I don't know anything about like what you can do, even if it's just kind of mock stuff. But I think overall it's really good.
Overall, I commend you because I think that the brand has a distinct feel to it. I like the consistency and the extendability that you had to kind of show it across different platforms. I agree with the previous point of that I would have liked to seen it in the browser, maybe just a little more in context. I also liked the use of code. That gave us a little bit of a glimpse into what you were about, but I think that on what Kenny said, it kind of lacked a little bit of feeling. I want to get a little bit more into what represents you. We kind of went from polar opposites of the previous presentation where we were really like in there to where this was focusing just on what we had in front of us. I think that I like the fact that it had brevity. It was really to the point. Your colors were simple. It was really easy to digest, like you said. But the story wasn't there, and I didn't have that one thing that I could take with me. It wasn't very memorable in terms of encompassing you as a whole. But I do think that you did a great job executing across multiple different platforms and kind of showing us, how that brand could be extended, and I like that. So, good job.
Johnny, you have the floor. All right, great. So what's up, everybody? I'm Johnny Sciortino, and this is my personal branding presentation. So first off, what I wanted to convey with my brand before we get into what I've actually made today is that I want to be someone who thinks deeply and thinks everything through, is very organized, but presents themselves simply in a manner that's digestible by all of the future employers or future coworkers that get to know me. So to start off, this is the logo that I've come up with. It's very straightforward. The reason I made it this way is because right off the bat you know who I am, what I do, and you have one piece of personality about me. I mean, people still associate nerdiness with glasses, which is great. I'm a little nerdy, but also people will remember me after interviews. You'll know that I wore these vintage black glasses. So it does three things while still staying very understated and very simple. So let's take a look at some of the things I've put on. So so like I said, who I am, what I do, offer something unique. So back when I had my last job in New York, my boss had this stack of 50 resumes on his desk that he just kept ignoring, and I was waiting for him to look at them because they were looking for a new hire, and he picked it up and he ran his thumb through it and looked at them like a flip book, and then he threw all 50 in the trash can. He said, those are garbage. And so I looked at my resume, and it looked a lot like those in the trash. So I was like, all right, we need something new, we need some color. And so I changed to this. It's rather than presenting everything as different categories, I just did everything literally so they could look at my life like a story. I started off working with kids, making paper airplanes and cleaning up nosebleeds and stuff like that, and then ended up at Polk, and now I'm back at Lamar. So it tells the story of my life rather than just looking like a transcript. So next we'll take a look at the website that I have. So okay, so as you can see, it has the typical brand thing. But the first thing that I put there were the Lamar billboards that I've worked on, because I think that billboards really fit in with my brand. This straightforward, mostly copy, distilled down to just a few words. So that's why I started with the billboards. And then after that, you have all sorts of school projects and different things that I've done over the years. So at the top, I've got this About Johnny section. And this, I decided to make sure that this differed from the rest of the stuff, because after you've seen my resume and you've seen my work, you might get a little tired of this straightforward business attitude. So I put a bunch of goofy stuff on there, like first is the Reveille story I did on ukuleles. I used to play ukulele a lot. And then, tell everybody all the books I've read this year, and then I also enjoy polar bear swimming. It's like swimming in ice cold water. So just quirky, weird stuff about me to make sure that they know I'm a person and not a robot who spits out colorful resumes and stuff like that. And so other than that, let's see. Back to this. Yeah, so like I was saying, it's straightforward, tells you who I am, what I do, and a little something about me. So that's my personal brand, and that's all I got. Oh, I'm sorry, deliverables. That's not all I got. Got more. Okay, so one thing that I like to do is, after you do an interview, you want to say thank you, and one simple way that I want to do that is to send these little packets to anybody that I talk to. So the first thing is just a handwritten note with my personal branding on it, and then after that, it's very, not too expensive stuff, but just small things like little mead notebooks and post-it tape that you can put on your walls to write on your walls, and a simple pen. And so stuff like that, it's stuff creatives love, and it's really cheap. You can make this little packet for like $3 or $4. It's not like you're bribing them or anything, but it's a good way to say thank you without just sending a little card. So that's my personal branding, and that's all I got.
Sciortino always delivers. Good job. All right, a couple of minutes. Is there a judge that's ready to go right now with their feedback? All right, Kenny, we'll start with you.
I think you killed it, man. You really did a really good job. Really enjoyed the story you had in there, and it really set the tone for your presentation that you like to be different, and that really shows me who you are as a person, is that you want to stand out from the crowd. And that was a really good way to kind of set the theme of it.
Katie, what about you?
Yeah, I'm very, very intrigued. Like you said with your logo, I think it was a great choice because I instantly see personality. I see personality even before the presentation started, because your attire, your physical brand matches what's on the screen, which I think is killer, and and then it's reflected here. It's consistent. I would say to keep going in that direction. Make sure everything that you project in an interview or to anybody, or everything that you show, your leave behind items, if they are, it's a great idea, and leave behind items are awesome, and they really do leave an impact. I would say put something else to further remind them of you in there. They're items right now, but make them more personalized to you, even if it's just a letter, if you have a letter in there with your name on it and stuff to kind of accompany.
There's a letter.
Oh, it is? Oh, I'm sorry. Well, so good job. But yeah, I would keep, just keep going in that direction, just making sure that everything's really consistent. Presentation-wise, the only real critique I would say about it is it was a little bit clunky in some areas, the more you have to sort of fumble around with applications and programs and waiting for websites to load and stuff is just a little bit of a distraction. So the more you can sort of streamline and just sort of kind of keep everything, as accessible as possible, so you don't have to kind of take your mind off of the presentation itself to bother with software, that can be such a nuisance. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Katie. Brandi?
I agree. I think you knocked it out of the park. I think from you to the resume, everything is really memorable and very consistent. I think that you maintained a really good balance of personality and professionalism, which is critical. But I think overall it's fantastic. Great job.
I agree. I think that we really captured the essence of the soul and the spirit of who Johnny is, in both the way that you spoke and the way that you present yourself, in not only the presentation but in your deliverables as well. It was distinct, it was brief, and I think most importantly it was memorable. And I think that looking back on, even if I just had some of the stuff on my desk, whether it was just your business card or just your resume, if I was flipping through it, I would be able to remember who it was, the guy in the glasses, and kind of what he was about. And I think that's the most important thing when you're branding yourself, is that when you're not in the room, if I can look at something and remember what your essence was, and I think that would give you that. So, great job.
I had one more thing to add, sorry, I forgot, just about the work in general, to make sure that you are putting some of your favorite work or what you think is your best work first.
Sure.
Because I saw a couple of your billboards, but when it came down to the actual work, I was intrigued and I wanted to see more of what you actually produced, but it was a little fast, and it was a little, all of the best, maybe your best stuff or the stuff that you really wanted us to see wasn't necessarily at the top.
Sure.
For a quick read.
Great feedback,
Great
guys.
job,
Thank
Ben.
y'all so much. Another round of applause. Okay. Moving along, we have Erik Scharff.
So, as you said, I'm Erik Scharff, and first thing I want to show you is a little bit about me. This is my About Me page. The first thing that people remember when they hear my name or anything is they remember Scharff. They remember my last name. A lot of people call me just by my last name, and it's something that I just go by. I don't care. I love it. But I branded myself as Scharff Attack. It's something that you can go to almost anything, one of my pages, and you will find that there. It's my brand, and that's what I do. If you go here, you can find anything. You can get to my portfolio, you can get to my Twitter, you can get to anything, and it will all be linked together. So, who am I? I'm 22. I'm from New Orleans. I'm a junior in humanities and social sciences with a triple minor in communication studies, fine arts, and AVATAR, which is arts visualization, advanced technology, and research. I want to go into social media, marketing and advertising. Specifically Twitter, Facebook, mobile apps. My objective is I want to innovate the way people look at social media so that it's an effective advertising tool. And so everything's nowadays is moving towards mobile and towards social media that it's prevalent and needs to be in your face. The reason I got into social media is because right after Katrina, I went away to boarding school for 3 years. And when I was there, I wanted to keep in touch with all my friends, and the easiest way to do that at the time was to be in social media, to be able to talk to them wherever I was, whatever I'm doing, whether they're doing work or not. I could still talk to my friends and be away from them at the same time. Social media has a formula. There's a way that it works, and people don't really understand that there's better ways to do it. There's better ways to tweet, where you can, using certain things, you can do certain, you can get more reaction out of people, or you can do this when you're advertising. Anywhere from 86% higher retweet rate just by adding a link to your tweet. Facebook is also the same thing, but Facebook has an algorithm built into it that when you're at nighttime and you put it up at night, it will still be there the next day. And so there's lots of little tidbits within social media that a lot of people know. But the future is social media, and that's what I want to be about. I want to be all about social media. I want people to realize and think, when they think of me, think that I'm a social person, that I get out there and go and be with people, and I'm not just social online, but I want to connect with people. Social media is one of the fastest growing industries. I have graphs that I could show you, but that would just bore most people. But last but not least, I wanted to leave you with some of my work that I've done. Created the hippo rhino sharkosaurus. I don't know. It's a Photoshop tools, and then just some basic design that I like to do. Thank you.
All right, good job, Erik. Is there a judge that's ready to go with their feedback? All right, Kenny, start with you.
Erik, man, you had a really memorable opener. I definitely remember that. Scharff Attack, I love it. My feedback is easy on the ums, and also you need a stronger close. because I felt like you had a really strong opener, but kind of left me hanging at the end. It felt like you needed to something strong and impactful to close it off. Like your work is good, but something about you, more about you to end it. So.
Katie?
I would say, well, yes, I love the brand, love the Scharff attack a lot. You know, consistency, maybe, you know, I would, because I like your visual presentation as well, the look of it. So I would say go with kind of one or the other, or make them, you know, a little more fluid to where they kind of fit together. I also like the look of the visual, so I would sort of bring in some of those elements into like your resume, some of the same type, and this, you know, into your card too. Yeah, I think it's a very like clever, kind of witty brand that I think is instantly like kind of a hook, you know, just kind of like brings people in and is intriguing. And then, I was gonna say, well, two things. First of all, when you kind of were going into your strategy, I think it is really nice to see like how you plan, you know, to go about like your strategy with social media, but it may have like actually given away a little too much of your strategy, where I would like to see more of like your actual application, like how you've taken your strategies, not necessarily like listing them all out for us, but like taken your strategies and applied them to something. So like Shark Hippo, yes, awesome, and I want to see like where that went. You know, was it a post? Let me see the Facebook post, or you know, just something with like the actual how you used it, and maybe if there were more likes that you got from it, or you know, whatever, like what the results were.
Yeah, I agree with Katie. I get that you understand how social media works and the things that work best, but I do want to see how you would do it. Just some examples of how you could improve a brand or improve their social presence, rather than just telling me these things work. I want to see how they work. I really did appreciate the play on your name. That's really memorable, and I think you did a good job.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Big fan of Sharp Attack. It's definitely memorable. I'm not gonna forget that. I think that there could have been like a little bit more of like extendability into with that, just the whole Sharp Attack theme. I think you could have done something really cool with the resume. I like the business card, but I think that's like a really cool, creative way to kind of brand yourself. And I think that there's some awesome options if you can just kind of like brainstorm on that and figure out some way to kind of show that in different executions. I definitely appreciated as well the depth of knowledge in kind of the strategy that you went into, but I think that I was missing from a branding perspective the connection between the social media, like the love of social media and the depth of knowledge that you have in that, and then to Sharp Attack. There was a kind of a missing gap between those two things. So if you could find a way to connect those 2 points, I think that you'll be in business. Good job.
Thank you.
While Jay
I was
is
like, we got energy.
setting up his
It was like
presentation,
super awkward.
we
It was
have
about lunch.
Becky Sadler here. She is our chair for the Addies coming up soon. She is a cheerleader.
You guys, I wanted to announce we do have bags. Yay, there's students here. But for those students who want to enter in the Addies, we have the entry bags, and of course we have the entry information. We're going to be passing this out to the teachers that I see here, and Johnny, who's stuffing his face right now. And this whole thing is just great. Thank you guys for participating.
Thank you.
All right, Jay, you have the floor.
All right. So, unfortunately for me, I'm not a creative in advertising. Actually, I'm not even an advertising major anymore. I'm a psych major. So what am I doing here? Well, I actually work in advertising. I work for LSU Student Media. Some of you guys might have heard of it. I'm in charge of all digital advertising and non-print advertising. You wouldn't think so, but I actually work a lot with technology. But anyway, so who am I? Well, a friend of mine told me that the best way to start any presentation is through a story. So I was born in Lima, Peru. As you guys can see, I've always been a fat kid. And I've always been a mama's boy. So that's my mom. And you wouldn't know it nowadays, but I've actually always been a big dog person. That's 2 of them. Oop. And here's the rest of them. I've always loved animals, that's just who I've always been. And then there's my little brother who looks like a skinnier version of young me. But who cares, I'm not a kid anymore, right? So who am I today? Well, I think the best way to show you is through my blog. So I really like typography. I've always liked vintage type design. And I've always just liked cool pictures of buildings. That's just who I've always been. Now, how does it translate to advertising? Well, I like creative projects. I like creativity. I like finding ways, new ways to do things. You can see this in my blog, New Run, that kind of changed my life. And it's not just me, it's not just work that I like, it's also things that I've done, or pictures I've taken. So, what about me? I love beer, specifically Foster's and Blue Moon. I also like novelty stuff, like this giant thing. I also love cats. Cats have always been my thing. There's that one, there's another one. More cats. Yeah, I'm a crazy cat lady. That's just who I've always been. Aside I'm a fat kid, I love food. Food. That was delicious. That was I remember that meal. You know whenever you have a meal that's so good, that you just dream about it? That was awesome. I also really like my friends. I've always been a social butterfly. I've literally gotten suspended from private school and almost expelled for being too social. I don't know a stranger. I like people. I'm weird. I don't know. Not as weird as this guy. And I really like getting in trouble. I don't know how, but I always find a way to get myself in weird situations like this. And I love my family. They're Peruvian and weird and just awesome. But again, who cares? It's just who I am. Well, what can you do design-wise? This is kind of what happens when I design. Now, having said that, when it's not this pixelated and it's in the proper format, this is actually the most popular ad we've ever had in the Rebellion Online. Why? Because it's not really about the design. People don't care that much about that. It's the fact that it says, is your kitty ready for a touchdown? So get it ready to score. And it's a naked cat. Who the hell does that? Who does that? But most designers and most advertising people say, screw that, burn it down. Just burn it, kill it. So what are you good at? I'm good at finding people that can actually do good design work. Never gonna be a great designer. Probably never gonna write any great novels. But I can give art direction. Enter this ad. It looks simple. The client they gave us so many different directions, and the client basically just wanted pop art. They had no idea what else. So I found our best designer and assigned it to her. Now throughout the entire process, she was like, how can we do pop art with a library? I mean, you can't do that. After like a month of work or so, we came up with this container that presented it to East Bend Nurse Parish Library. They loved it. Mary Stein, she is the associate director for the library. Went crazy over it, ordered an entire campaign based on it, and like I said, I'm not actually big on creative, but I am big on the account side. Because of this art direction, because I was able to kind of make those good connections and find good designers to get to do the work that I can't do, we were able to make a $50,000 sale based on this. And what else can you do? Well, that's where the resume comes in. I speak Spanish. I never realized how big of a deal that was until I went to a job interview for the Orange County Gazette. And throughout the interview, I'm thinking I don't want the job. It's a waste of my time, but I'm doing it because I really liked my boss at the time, and they really wanted me to interview with them. Well, I showed them this, and when I thought I was going to a sales job, and actually designed this, thinking I was going to a sales job to show them that, and immediately they were all about, hey, what can you do creatively? Can you do other things? And the fact that I speak Spanish gave me a $10,000 increase on the job offer. So, Jay Barrios, digital and non-print admin. So, yeah, thanks.
Jay, way to close the show. Suspense, photos, laughs, not at all.
Can you deliver it in Spanish?
I can.
Do it all in Spanish.
Yeah, don't worry about his closing.
Yeah.
All right, Kenny, let her rip.
Overall, very good. And I really enjoyed all the stories. Very good flow. Very good flow. Very fluid, on point. Loved it.
Yeah, great presentation. I mean, any designer wants a art director, a creative director who has a clear direction with things, who is funny, can bring some humor in, and kind of, you seem to just be very relaxed even up there, and maybe, I would assume kind of in general just be a very easygoing, kind of guy that any, designer, would want around to help lead and help guide. And I love the design of your resume, and I would say to try to bring in some graphics, some of these same graphics, colors, type, everything into the presentation. Because I love the photos, I love all the intro stories and everything that you had, and so I'd like to see a little more cohesion between what you have here on the page and on what I see on the screen. Great job.
I would say I love that it was really personable, and we really have a good idea of who you are. I would have more examples of things that you've implemented that have worked.
Yeah.
And I would caution you against mentioning people that maybe you didn't want to work for. Just don't say this specific company that I interviewed for, I don't want that job. Because you just never know.
Right.
But very good overall.
Overall, I thought it was unique. I thought that you did a really good job showing us kind of who you were. A ton of likability. I felt like I got to know you, and I feel like you know who you are, and you're not afraid to let other people know who you are. I didn't think that you were sugarcoating anything, and I think that we got a true glimpse of you, which I appreciate. I also really liked how you branded your resume. I would have liked to seen a little bit more consistency from a branding perspective on what we saw in the resume kind of roll into the presentation. Maybe some of the same colors, some of the same look and feel, because I really did like this. I think at times it was a little bit abrupt, a little bit random. Like we didn't know where we were going, but I kind of liked it. It was, I don't know. But yeah, overall, I think that the fact that you were able to kind of show us who you were, that's the point of a personal brand. We could brush it up a little bit in a few ways, but I think that overall you did a great job. Thanks.
Thanks, Jay. And again, just all of our presenters did a great job today, because it takes a lot of gumption to get up here and present in front of a room full of industry professionals, and they all did a great job. So one more round of applause for everybody. All right, so Theresa and I, we are going to tally up all of the scores, and we will come back momentarily. All right. Excitement of who wins. Can we get all the presenters to come forward? So again, great job on everyone. Had some great presentations, and again, some good feedback from our panelists. And we are happy to announce that the winner for the fall professional panel is Student Showcase. Is Mr. Johnny Sciortino. Oh wait, there's more. There's more. To say thank you for everyone who came up and presented, we have Road Ninja branded umbrellas, so you don't go home empty-handed. Nobody, everyone goes somewhere. Johnny counts. All right, one final round of applause. Thanks. Good job, guys.
All right, good job, man.